All right. We're rolling, everybody.
Woohoo.
Hello there.
We're back.
We are back.
We're
And
back.
better than ever.
Well,
That remains to be seen.
that remains. Yeah. Well,
I'm here, so.
Well, I beg to differ. Well, I think we're pretty much where we were.
I think you're better than where you were, but I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know either. I was in a bad place.
You were in a bad place.
I was in a bad place before. But I'm in a better place now, and I definitely feel better. I definitely feel better.
That's good.
Yeah?
What did we tell you, everybody?
Well, we haven't. Well, we will.
There was video made. I don't remember making
Yeah.
it, but I remember watching it.
Yes.
And
I believe
Sorry about
this
that.
is the okay. Well, this is episode 8 of What Lurks on Channel X. For those of you who've never listened before, those of you who have, you're caught up already. Quick recap. This started in October or so of 2015, and Erik became the official co-host of the show alongside myself.
you
Erik.
could say that.
And unfortunately, in December, was it, or November that you found out? It's December.
Early December, end of November.
Yeah. Erik was told by the doctors that he had a tumor in his brain.
A fairly large size, melon size.
Grapefruit size is what they said.
Grapefruit, I'm sorry.
It's grapefruit.
Wrong fruit.
Yes, I remember specifically your sister saying grapefruit sized. And what was cool about it, it was right in the middle. It was
It
literally,
was literally splitting the brain
bisecting
in half.
your brain.
Yeah.
So now that we're kind of laughing about this, does that mean if it had continued to grow, you would have been like one of the crystal skulls?
The man with two brains.
The man with two brains.
Ooh.
Oh, that would have been kind of cool.
Yes, that would have been something. I would have looked hideous.
You would have been like a cone head.
Well, I think I would have looked like Bruce Campbell in The Man with Two Brains.
That's true.
That's the man with screaming brain.
That's man,
Man with a screaming brain. Yeah, okay.
Was your brain screaming?
I felt like it was screaming before, but now I'm better. Like I said, I still got a lot of tests and everything like that, a lot of therapy and everything, but we're fairly better than where we were last year.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those who are unaware, you can go back in our previous episodes and hear. We actually spoke while you were in the hospital.
Yeah, I remember the video. I vaguely remember recording it because I don't recall the last 6 months prior to the operation.
Wow.
It was just wiped from my memory.
So most of the podcasts that we recorded, you don't even remember.
I remember coming over here. I remember talking about stuff, and I remember the microphone. But
the specifics,
I actually had to re-listen to the show. I haven't re-listened to all of the shows. But yeah, I had to catch myself up.
Wow. It's an ordeal.
Yeah, it is an ordeal.
People can actually check out our YouTube page and see video. It's a lovely video of Erik in his beautiful hospital gown.
And my Ninja Turtle pants.
Yes. Ninja Turtle pants. So basically, the last few months, Lynn and I have been in post-production on our new feature film, Theta States, and conveniently or inconveniently, it coincided with Erik's affliction.
You can say conveniently. I'll say inconveniently.
Tomato. So I decided that, you know what, if we're going to take a break, then it's a good time to take a break anyway, because post-production pretty much took up all of my time.
Everything.
Every bit of my time. So it was kind of nice to be away from the show, but I'm really missing it lately, so we're back.
I'm missing it too. It's a good way for me to practice speaking.
Yeah, you're in speech therapy, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in my speech therapy, and this is a great way for me to practice speaking, by speaking.
Really? You don't say. The
Go
hell
figure.
You say. The hell
Go
you say.
figure. I mean, in the early days, back in January of this year, 2016,
The early days.
Yeah, the early days.
Early
I couldn't get anything out. I mean, I was searching for words. I was, really fumbling around. Well, you guys saw me in the hospital. I couldn't really form sentences, and it took me a while to get myself together, and just in general moving my right side, which you can see.
You can wave now.
Look at this.
Hi.
I can raise my hand. But no, and it's.
You're much better.
Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah, no, and it did coincide with, you were working on your movie, which I vaguely remember being on the set of back last summer, and I'm looking forward to seeing the final cut of it.
Another couple months for that. But
Yeah.
It's taking a little longer than I planned, but whatever. It takes the time it takes. At this point,
however long
I'm
it
done.
takes.
At this point, I'm done with it. We're in mastering to do. They're doing audio mastering, and we're doing a little bit of CG. I hate saying that, but there's no other way to describe it.
It's hard.
It's not CG as CG is. It's glowing eyes and things that you physically.
It's not George Lucas.
No, it's things you physically can't shoot. How do you make somebody's eyes glow in camera?
Right.
It's things like that. Stuff that
It's unfortunately the way of the indies, where you could get special contact lenses and you could do reflector type.
No,
effect.
not like
I don't
that.
know.
Not the types of.
But
glowing
it's
we're
an
talking
embracing of the visual effect.
Yeah, it's visual
Accents.
effects. It's a visual effect. It's the types of effects that have been in movies for decades.
Yeah.
It's not full on. I mean, it is computer generated at this point because everything's done on a computer.
Right.
But it's
not like a full
classic
creature.
style. Yeah, I mean, Ray Harryhausen could have done stuff like this. It had his own way of doing that sort of shit. So, since we're waiting on that, and I have audio mastering to do, the CG takes longer than I was aware of. So that's really what we're waiting on. I'm just taking our time with the audio mastering. I figured, hey, if we're going to wait for CG anyway, there's no rush in doing the master mix because I still have a couple sound effects to put in once the CG is done.
Right.
So now that you have some free time.
Yeah. Now,
Again.
yeah, exactly. Now that the weight of the movie is
Off of your shoulders?
mostly off my shoulders, it's we can get back to the show. I don't know for sure that Erik will be here for every episode. Because me and Lynn are going to do some on our own as well, just so that it
I'm going to keep the seat warm.
has more of a regular thing. We'll get together when we can,
Right.
which shouldn't be too difficult right now, considering. But as we
Not
get
as
closer,
easy as, us, because
as we get into the fall,
here.
as we get into fall, and we have other film festivals and conventions and stuff we do, weekends get filled up.
Right.
And we're also doing We're also doing a web series now, somewhat based on the show.
Okay.
We have the show, What Lurks on Channel X. Our new web series is called Dark Tales from Channel X. So we're just creating a whole branding thing here.
Right.
It's a full-on brand. So people start looking for Channel X. They're going to find the show, and they're going to find the podcast and the show, which is very exciting. So,
All right.
Yeah.
I hope to be a part of that too.
There you go. So is there anything else, that, Erik, you'd like to...
No, I'm again, recovering from my grapefruit-sized tumor.
I wish they would have let you keep it. That would have been nice to have.
It would have been nice to have, but I think it would have been also a bit gooey.
Well, it would have been in a jar, I'm sure. I don't
yeah,
think
they
you
could
would
put
have
in
just
formaldehyde or something.
Well, I wouldn't have.
piece of your brain in the jar.
I kept my wisdom tooth.
Did you?
I did.
That's what you're comparing your wisdom teeth to my tumor?
They took it out of my body. They took that out of your body.
God. Oh my God! But no, it was really very large. I was knocking at death's door, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be alive.
We're happy to have you
How cheesy
alive.
that sounds.
We're happy to have you alive.
Yeah, but it would have been, I would have just gone to sleep one night and not woken up.
That would have been interesting.
Well, it would have been. They would have done an autopsy and would have said, "Hey, you know what happened?
There's a grapefruit in his
There was
skull.
a grapefruit in his head."
Oh my God, you could have been on like TLC Health, like those
my
health
God.
channels.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it
No,
was
it's
it was
cool.
really kind of funny. Everybody, I was arguing with everybody in the last days. I
Yeah.
know that for sure.
Yeah, you're making a lot of enemies. People weren't happy with you.
Yeah, I was pushing people away. I don't know if it was my tumor talking or me talking.
Well, we'll
but
say it was the tumor talking.
we'll say it was the tumor talking, but I
Otherwise
don't
you'll
know
have
if it
no
was
friends
just me pushing him away because I was like whatever. But after it happened and everybody found out what happened, it was like, if we knew. And I'm like, there was no way for you to know that there was a tumor in my head. I didn't know there was a tumor.
If you knew, it would have been taken out a whole lot sooner.
Yeah,
but maybe if you had gone on vacation or something, like would the airport scanners have picked that up?
No. Only an MRI.
Only an MRI.
Yeah.
Only an MRI.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, it was really kind of
because that would be a hell of a thing if you're just like trying to go on vacation and then the screener's like, sir, can you step up 2 steps to the side for a minute?
What the amazing thing is it was growing for 10 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Which really was, when we found that out, we looked at it and said, wow, we've never known you without the tumor.
Yeah.
No, you haven't.
Don't know you.
You've
I've
never met me without
you.
a tumor.
So we're really happy that you actually seem to like us, which is
Well,
good.
it's not to like.
Yeah, it's true. But we were a little concerned that maybe the tumor just liked us and maybe you didn't. I don't know.
No, I think I have to be weary of some people that I'm, associated with. That it's like, was it the tumor? Was it the tumor? Do I really like you? No. Am I really friends with you? No. But
You just like woke up one morning like, what the fuck? Tumor? What
was I thinking?
what am I thinking?
Guy's an asshole.
Okay, I mean, like my nephew, he's really giggly, and it's kind of annoying.
The nephew. Oh,
Really?
The 3-year-old nephew.
that's who you're gunning for. Okay.
No, I love him to death. But I love him to death.
It's true. Now you got to be careful because now there's like no more tumor to blame.
There's no more. Everything that happens
is you now.
Is me now. But it's like, oh man, like I was talking to some girl last week that I had an argument with a couple of years ago, and it's like, it was really the tumor talking. She's like, yeah, I know that. But now it's not. But we're all caught up on
what happened.
On what happened and where I'm at, and
Well, we're happy to have you back.
Yeah.
And
Good to be back.
I want to thank all of the listeners we have who gave us well wishes and said and reached out and said
Right.
for you to wanted
I'd
you
like
to
to
get
thank
better.
everybody too that wished me
Yeah.
well.
Thank you all. That was really, really cool of you all. And today, what we're going to do is, since it's been a while, and we were sort of moving into doing updates as we were going along. If we had something to add to a previous subject, we would discuss it in the beginning. So I'd like to start with that. We're going to basically recap everything we've covered up to this point, add a little bit to those conversations.
Annotate footnotes.
Yes, footnotes, some PSs.
Or just completely take a start of talking about it again, because I've got like...
You'd like to talk about it for the first
I'd
time.
like to talk about it for the first time because I don't remember it from the first time
The
last
first time, the second time.
Yes.
Our main topics for today is we have a little bit of Elisa Lam we want to cover again.
Yeah, we were talking about that before
Yeah.
we got on.
We have Elisa Lam. We have a little bit of Mandela Effect. And the main thing I want to discuss is H.H. Holmes.
That one, you brought up something interesting with me last week. I really want to discuss that as well.
Yeah. I think our main subject for the day is going to be that. So we'll get into the other two subjects
I'm
first.
always down to talk about serial killers.
Yeah, we're going to hit H.H. Holmes pretty heavily, and I think we're going to change the way some people see history.
Ooh.
Yes.
Rewriting history.
Rewriting history.
So on that note, we'll take a little break, and we'll be right back on What Lurks on Channel X.
I used to talk to you all the time, even though I wasn't home. I walked around for months talking to you. Now, I don't know what to say. It was easier when I just imagined you. I even imagine you talking back to me. We'd have long conversations. almost like you were there. I could hear you, see you, smell you. I could hear your voice. Sometimes your voice would wake me up. It would wake me up in the middle of the night just like you were there.
Well, we're back. We're back on Channel X, and first thing I want to go before we get into our subjects, I do want to apologize. It is 100,000 degrees.
Real feel of 105.
Yeah, it is 1,000 degrees. 1,000 degrees here in New York, and so I apologize, but you're going to have to listen to our air conditioner in the background.
Yes.
Sorry, but if we don't have it, I think us and the dog might just die.
Yeah.
We're gonna melt.
We're
gonna melt.
Turn into puddles.
Yeah. There's also a possibility that if it overheats, Erik might have a seizure, and I'm just not prepared for that. I have no contingency plan.
Oh God,
for
I'm
that.
trying to remember my Girl Scout training now. What do we do? First
Yeah,
aid. First aid
I
badge.
left Cub Scouts after like 2 days, so I got nothing.
Yeah, no, you don't have to worry about.
I mean, I think we made a candle and I quit.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about me doing anything with the seizure. You know.
Okay.
I'm able to pretty much.
See it coming? You feel the tremors in advance?
And I'll turn my head accordingly. You know.
Okay, so you can just if
we'll
Erik
avoid
goes
the use of
quiet,
any
he's probably
strobes.
on the ground.
Yes, strobes, flashing lights in the eyes.
Like when I just turned that light on when you're staring at
Yes,
it.
yes. Let's avoid that.
All right, so
Got it.
so the
Noted.
the late night rave that we had planned, we're going to have to take you home first. Let's first get into. It was our most popular episode. It is certainly our most downloaded and our most watched on YouTube. We have somewhere in the realm. What do we have? 120 some odd comments on this, along with
Wow.
Wow.
along with a bunch of threads that were started as a result.
Insta famous.
Yeah, there was even somebody who took our episode and sped it up and made their own video out of it.
Did you guys sound like chipmunks? Because I want to hear that.
A little bit. It was a little faster. So they turned our 90-minute episode into about 40, 45 minutes. They cut out a few things here and there and used us as a reference. So I was flattered.
You guys are like legit.
I know, right?
Wow.
Like we're
Wow.
like we mean something. Our opinion means something. But apparently we are one of the more comprehensive shows that covered it, and I'm proud of that. I'm happy about that. I know that we did it pretty well. We have a lot of people who called us idiots too. I'm cool with that too. Fuck them. I don't give a shit.
Fuck them.
Thank you for listening to my 90-minute show about us being idiots. You know, that's great. Fuck you. But I'm gonna be honest. This is gonna be the last time we cover Mandela because I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
We talked about it 2 more times on the show in little updates, and I think this is we're gonna call this that, and that's it. I'm
Calling
done.
it.
Because
Because where do you go with this topic?
you know what my problem with this topic really is? You can't tell somebody that they're wrong.
No.
This is one of those conspiracy theories. It's not a conspiracy theory, but apparently it is. But it falls in that realm of you tell somebody, well, no, I don't believe you. And their answer is, well, that's my reality. How do you argue with that?
You can't.
You cannot argue with that and tell somebody, well, I remember the singer from the Carpenters was black. Nobody has said that, but I'm just going extreme. And then you can look at them all you want and tell them, no, they're not. Well, that's my reality. And that's it. Conversation's over. It's done. And that's what most of the people who believe this, like real hardcore, are kind of saying. That's kind of how their argument goes of, well, that's my reality. Well, then end of discussion. We're never going to get a true comprehensive discussion on this as long as that continues to occur. As long as people keep saying, well, that's what I remember. And you can't argue with somebody's possible false memory. You just can't.
No, you can't.
No, it's like when you use like that's how I feel. Well, I can't.
Well, that's how I feel. I can't
change how
argue
you
with your
feel.
feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't argue with somebody's feelings. You can't argue with somebody's memory.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They won't accept the fact that it's possible they're just wrong in one occasion. Like maybe you're just wrong. One of the arguments I heard was specifically the Carpenters. Some people say they remember being just Carpenters, and other people say the Carpenters. And I say that's marketing.
Yeah.
Because you can very clearly find some albums say just Carpenters and some of them say the Carpenters. And they say, well, no, I remember them all being that way. And I say you're wrong because that's marketing. Sometimes record labels just change the name because it's more aesthetically pleasing, or articles say the and some articles don't say it. Some little things like that.
It's like the Facebook became just Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a Mandela effect. They changed the friggin' title.
Yeah. Why?
Why? Because it's marketing.
It's marketing.
Yeah,
It's
and marketing
shorter to
changes
say
things.
whatever reasons.
The
they
big
come up
one,
with.
Forrest Gump, was the life is like a box of chocolates. He says in the movie, Mom always said my life was like a box of chocolates. But on the posters, it says life is like a box of chocolates.
'Cause it's
Later
short.
on in the movie, the mother says life is like a box of chocolates. But they paraphrased for the posters. And that's what people say because, well, it's still on the posters, but it's different in the movie. So you're telling me reality changed the movie, but reality hasn't changed the posters, is what you're trying to say. It didn't change in the poster. No, I'm saying that they changed it in the poster because it just sounded better. It was an easier soundbite. It was easier to work that into a catchphrase.
Well, I mean, yeah, when you have a poster, people are going to take like milliseconds to read it.
And people swear that they've always heard it that way in the movie.
Right.
When you listen to it in the movie, it's very close because he says it very quickly. It's very close. Could be, should, is, was. It's very close. It's the very same inflection. But when you've seen it on the poster 15 times before you even watch the movie, your mind has been conditioned to hear it that way.
Right.
You know, because to this day, they still market it as life is like a box of chocolates, even though it's different in the movie. So the reality still exists both ways. You just heard it wrong. And I'm tired of arguing that point.
Well, you know, it's like one of the earliest things that I remember for myself, all right, was I had a poster that said Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I told all my friends it was originally called Revenge of the Jedi. It was again marketing.
Revenge had a more negative
Correct.
connotation towards Jedi. Return, well, the heroes are back.
Right. You know,
And that's marketing.
and I told all my friends, and they said, "No, you don't know what you're talking about." And I showed my friends the poster, and they said, "It does say that." Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
And no one's saying that that's a Mandela effect either.
But it's an alternative explanation.
Yes. When it comes to things like movies and music, pop culture in general,
Yeah.
things change as the collective consciousness changes. You know, you hear things a certain way, your friends say it a certain way, you're going to hear it that way. You're always going to remember it that way because your friends always said it that way. But then you go back to the movie you haven't watched in 20 fucking years, you're, holy shit, it's actually a little bit different.
Well, I mean, I think
We
even
covered that-
with
we
the
covered that plenty of
Berenstain Bears, whatever.
yeah, is the Bears
That's the one.
Berenstein?
That's the one that is just like, okay, wait. You would literally pronounce it completely differently.
Yeah, but at the same time, most of us had our parents read it to us.
Yeah.
So
Beyond
your
that,
parents
there
could have
was a
been reading it the
cartoon.
whole time.
There was
But
a cartoon, and the
beyond that,
cartoon
your
said
brain,
Berenstein Bears.
Yeah, but your brain is going to connect more to the memory of your mother or your father's voice than what the TV is saying to you.
No, and you're
So
absolutely
you
right.
may be applying what your parents said to the same memory of watching the TV show.
Quite possible. Well, what I'm saying is, even on the TV show, said Berenstein. Like, we all remember hearing it pronounced a
Yeah.
certain way.
Right.
So we read it a certain way. You know?
Right.
My theory, it's possible that was different. And I'll explain why. I heard on another show, they had an explanation that finally made sense to me. A lot of explanations that there's alternate universes colliding. Universes are dying off, and the prevalent memory, the later memories, and you know what? That's true. There's even theories. People believe CERN is doing it. That because of the experiments at CERN, they are causing rifts in reality, and they are causing dimensions to collide.
So we're like stuck in an episode of Rick and Morty?
Yes.
Or like DC Comics is going through one of the multiverse colliding things now.
Yeah. That's what people believe, and that's a bit much. I'm sorry, I can't. No. There is a theory that I heard that ever since then I said, you know what? If, let's say, for argument's sake, the Mandela effect is real,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've seen them talk about everything from album covers to movies to the placement that the North Pole had an ice cap. Yeah. You know,
well,
the
that's
North
where
Pole
Santa
has an ice
Claus
cap.
lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, good grief.
So
Seriously?
the theory that I heard,
Listen, it's logic. You can't argue logic.
the theory I heard, and I think you're going to like this one, is Back to the Future. Some point in the future, we do invent time travel, and someone's fucking shit up.
Deceive
There was a
again,
point.
you know?
Okay, now there's little bits of evidence off the top of my head. I don't remember them all, but one specifically, the reason why I again picked on Berenstain is the Berenstain grandchildren, grandson and granddaughter. Somebody actually asked them about it and said, "No, our name has always been Berenstain. It's always been that way ever since we immigrated, and our name was changed on an immigration form and spelled wrong."
So really, this dude has nothing better to do with his time than to go back to Ellis Island, take over one of the people working on Ellis Island, and spell something wrong.
I'm talking about the butterfly effect. Something was changed at some point in history, and it caused slight changes over time.
Yeah, that's
like someone different was sitting there who accidentally misspelled it at some point. That's what I'm trying to say. One event was changed, and it caused slight ripples. Someone was somewhere that they weren't before. And some of us still have the previous memories before things were changed. Hell, there's even a possibility that this guy went back, changed something, got back to his world, that it was so different. Now he's trying to fix it again, and he's making more ripples.
But like, what would be the difference between the people who were affected and people who aren't? Like, is it like
At
people
what point
were
in it?
awake?
Okay, how's this?
When the network, when you update computers, like the computers that weren't turned on didn't get
It
the
could
update.
be something as simple as
Like, were you sleeping through it?
it could be something as simple as the person who was sitting in the island when they immigrated into the country. I'm not sure what year it is, but let's just say for argument's sake, the person who was originally sitting there ended up dying in a concentration camp. And now there's somebody completely different sitting there taking names
but
in.
I
That's
understood
what I'm
that
trying to
concept.
say.
But I'm saying that there are people who remember it one way and people who remember it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
What makes the difference between those two people? Were they like not connected to the Matrix?
Yes, that some people are just unaware of the changes. Some people, their minds took to the change better, and some people remember it, some people don't.
That's weird.
It is weird.
I can't wrap my head around that.
It's weird to begin with, but that's the only explanation that makes sense to me. That's the only one. I'm like, I can buy that. I'm not saying I do buy it, but that I can go with. Maybe someone,
you know,
a thousand years in the future came back into. Maybe they tried to kill Hitler. Maybe somebody actually came back, tried to kill Hitler. Never succeeded. Obviously, did not succeed. And over that last 80, 90 years or so, since this new person who never existed suddenly does exist,
or maybe
has
they
made
did go
slight
back
changes.
and kill Hitler. That future was just as fucked up, or more so.
Yeah.
And they had to go back even further and change what they did.
I actually heard a story like that. Total fiction. Total fucking fiction. But it was an awesome story about this guy who lives in the future. And he's talking about the man who traveled back in time to stop the Great World War, to stop the tyrant that destroyed everything. And when they stopped that tyrant, they allowed Hitler into power because what the other guy was going to do was so much worse.
You know what would be even worse than that?
What?
If Hitler was the dude that they sent back.
Something horrible and catastrophic had to happen at that point. It's a fixed point in time, as Doctor Who would say. Something has to happen. Maybe they stopped. Maybe the person who did do it was so much worse than Hitler that post-apocalypse, that apocalyptic world that hasn't happened yet, happened 50 years ago, and they stopped that.
Yeah.
And in exchange, well, we had to put up with Hitler, and we had to deal with the Holocaust as a result. Again, horrible nonetheless.
Horrible.
But It's possible. Who knows? It's totally possible. Might be a reality out there where there was someone even worse than him. You ever think of that? Maybe, okay, no matter what they did, they cannot fucking kill him because that's going to change too much. You know? But maybe we went back and let's just keep him from winning so we can have the world back.
I mean, that might explain. I mean, if you think about
But
the butterfly
there's people
effect,
alive who weren't alive.
The butterfly effect is based on a butterfly landing in a pond. I mean, killing Hitler would be like an elephant stopping in that pond.
Exactly.
And maybe
It's too big of a change.
Too big of a change.
Yeah, everything would be different. It might be different for the worse. For all we know, it could be even worse if you get rid of Hitler. If you're going to go back and kill anybody in history, it's going to be Hitler. Honestly, if you're going to, all right, you can go back in history and kill one person, who are you going to kill?
Off the top of my head, absolutely Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay. There would be other people, maybe, possibly, plausibly.
Yes.
But,
Well, I mean, isn't there
number
that
Egyptian... Number one pick for 90% of the planet, 99% of the planet's going to say Hitler.
If I'm going to kill somebody, I'll kill him.
Go back and kill that guy.
Because I mean, really, if you think about it, like go back to like the Egyptian times, like wasn't there like that really bad pharaoh?
I don't think there's anybody that.
But I mean,
did
you think
anything
about that one pharaoh who was keeping the Jews as slaves, and then they had to have Moses come and.
Well, if we got rid of that guy, we wouldn't have Jesus.
Fine.
We wouldn't have to deal with Christianity. Oh my God, I love it. We're going even farther. We're going way back. I'm going to go back to like 50 BC. Go back to 50 BC with a 9mm.
Yeah, no matter.
And they're going to think I'm a god.
You go back far enough in time with a bic and a gun. Oh,
somebody shows up with a Zippo.
You're gonna be a god. Maybe that's the alternate theory to this ancient aliens. Maybe they were just time fucking travelers.
Well, that is one of the ancient alien theories, that Jesus is a time traveler.
Back with a Zippo.
If you went back with a Zippo, you're like a god.
And a crossbow.
Right.
He controlled fire with his hands, and now we see it like this guy who's throwing fire, but really he was just holding a fucking lighter.
Yeah.
He had Stairway to Heaven in his headphones, and he was, yeah, baby.
Like that crocodile mask head god, that was just a dude in a mask. Like he was just hanging out at a Halloween party. His next door neighbor was some crazy mad scientist.
Yeah.
Accidentally brought him back, and
that's spot on. Spot on.
That made total
I'm
sense.
still rewriting history. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it. That's my reality.
Yeah, that's your
reality. See? So, final thoughts on the possibility of it being a time traveler.
I'm thinking time travel. Time
makes
traveler with a little bit of butterfly effect mixed in there.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, and yeah.
I think it's a plausible explanation.
A plausible explanation.
If it's
Feasible.
really true, it's feasible.
It's feasible, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, if this is a thing, I'm calling Occam's razor on this thing. Occam's razor, whatever.
This isn't Batman.
Batman. I'm calling it.
Be Occam's razor.
It's my reality.
It's my reality.
Her reality.
My reality, it's Arkham.
Arkham.
But no, I mean, I think like simplest explanation, if this is actually a thing, would absolutely be a time traveler.
Well, simplest explanation.
Because we don't understand it.
Simplest explanation is that people are just misremembering.
Well, it said if this is a thing.
If this is a thing, yes. If Mandela Effect is true,
there's another unexplainable thing that I have no idea what impact it would have on anything, and I'm going to go with that being the impact.
Yeah. I think a time traveler, there are endless possibilities as to what a time traveler would do to reality.
Yeah. Like, somebody went and changing something in the past and,
creating ripples in the future.
Creating ripples in the future. I can accept that.
Small little ripples. Nothing huge. Small, tiny little changes over time. It just affects little things here and there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm down with that.
I'm done with this topic.
We can close the book.
Honestly, I can say that this is safely,
The end.
That's it. Closing the book on Mandela. Move the hell on from that. Elisa Lam, back to that. We did that. We covered creepy hotels that day, and all we talked about was her.
Yeah.
And I do recall that day we said that we couldn't find any articles that said what hotel it was, and it was literally a week later that I found out what hotel it was. A week after we did the recording, I found out what hotel it was.
Okay.
It was a Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. And that kind of added to it, coincidentally, again, because we were covering creepy hotels, it added to the fact that this is a creepy fucking hotel on top of it.
Yes, it is.
The Elisa Lam story is still up for debate a little bit. We start with that elevator video of her acting like a freak in the elevator. Like, what is she doing? Does she see a ghost? Does she see?
She's acting like a drunk person.
She's acting like, a weirdo.
Yeah.
And even in our discussion, we came to the conclusion that she's just trying to close the elevator door. For some reason, the elevator door wouldn't close, and she was moving around trying to trigger the sensor to close.
She was spazzing out. She was talking to somebody.
My opinion is there was somebody in the lobby she was speaking to. And she talked to somebody, and they said, you know what, just try another elevator. I believe it's as simple as that. That there's not, that while the video looks really weird, I think that it is totally normal explanation. There's something wrong with the elevator, and they told her, hey, try another one.
Everything in that video on the elevator, that 3-4 minutes, can be explained. And
what would cause it to stop in the first place and not move? Whatever it is, stopped happening.
Depends upon what time of the day that happened. If it was somewhere along the lines of midnight, it could have been maintenance.
One elevator always has to be in the lobby, too. We said that some buildings have that. I don't believe it was midnight. I believe it was during the... I'm not quite sure. But, yeah, there's a possibility that
if it was the midnight hour...
They only have 2 elevators. Out of fire safety or whatever laws, there always has to be an elevator in the lobby. So until the next one comes up, till the next one goes, this one's going to sit right here. Which I think we talked about, too, and we found that quite funny, because if that's true, then that means she got off, got in the other elevator... Then this one went up, and the one she got in sat there too and didn't fucking move either.
Well, and
that's totally possible.
And where's the video from that elevator?
Well, they released that video because it's not creepy enough. No, this was the only one that she has. That there maybe there was no camera in the other elevator. Maybe there's only one elevator. Maybe she decided to take the fucking stairs.
Which would make more sense.
It's also totally possible they told her, get out of the elevator, and then they ran a test. Said, you know what, come out of the video. And then she went and stood in the lobby. The guy in the elevator control room, he said, hey, run a test of the elevator. And he just reset it from inside, and it started working again. For all we know, that...
sometimes the elevators are just tricky. Sometimes, like, if the door's not properly shut, if it's just a little bit misaligned, it's triggering the elevator not to move because it's not safe.
We got stuck in an elevator last week. Yeah. When we went to the supermarket, the elevator door opened about a foot wide, and it just sat there. And I tried prying it and pulling it, and nothing happened. And then it just closed and went to the next floor. Yeah, and it opened just fine.
My office has been doing that because of the heat and overuse, I'm guessing. But, a couple times I've been in that elevator and it kind of closes, and then all of a sudden it shoots back open, and then it's stuck about halfway. And then all the idiots, I don't know why, they hit the close the door button. And it's like the close the door button's not doing anything. I hit the open one, and then it reopens and realigns itself, and it works. But I don't know why people go for the close button.
I don't know why anybody does anything. Honestly, I don't know why anybody does anything. I don't know why people drive the way they do. I don't know why the people say what they need to do.
No, it's like the people who get on the elevator, and they're going to the second floor. But they get on the elevator, and they walk to the back of the elevator, to the back corner. And then let everybody else get on. And so when it finally gets to the second floor, like 2 seconds later, they have to fight their way through.
I have what's called elevator etiquette. And I stand to the side, where there is room. And if I'm the first one on, I stand by the side, And if anybody else comes on, depending upon what floor we stop on, I offer to hit the button to whatever floor they're going to. Or, I invite them to go hit the floor themselves.
So you're a considerate person, yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm the opposite. See,
that could be the tumor talking.
Yes, it could be.
It's been 10 years that you develop. It's been 10 years.
Have you been on an elevator since? Maybe you're a different person now. Maybe you have different elevator
all the doctor's
etiquette.
offices now that I'm going to.
They all have elevators?
I'm probably going to more elevators now than I have my entire 10 years.
Well, see, I work on the top floor, so I push my way through everyone so I can get into the back corner. So I don't have to get out of anybody's way. But it's kind of rude in the beginning, but it's really for a reason. I really should just start screaming, I'm going to the top floor.
Top floor, out of my way.
Yeah.
Top floor, move it, people.
Yeah.
So the story of her was after that video, she went missing.
Yeah, she was calling her family every day, and they noticed extremely quickly.
Something was up.
Well, she was like, her family in Canada because she wasn't even from this country.
No.
Noticed right away. So there wasn't even a chance for anything to really, really go wrong. They noticed right away. Plus, she was supposed to check out the next day.
Yeah.
Well, that'll alert.
Yeah.
Well, it was probably...
They probably went to go clean her room and her stuff's still there.
Yeah. She stopped at a bookstore and bought gifts for everybody.
As though she was going home?
As though she was going home, so...
It was her intention to go home.
It was her intention to go home, so I don't think it was a suicide.
Huh. See, I didn't hear all that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's possible she was murdered?
I felt like she was murdered.
No, it's still considered suicide.
Really?
Yes.
It's still...
They don't know how she got to the top. They don't know how she got to the roof. So let's get to that real quick. Let me recap that real quick before we continue. In 2013, February, people in the hotel, the people in the hotel were complaining about the water in the tap, the water coming out of the sink and everything, smelling bad, and eventually the water, it was actually black water coming out of the tap. Yeah. A maintenance worker.
Sweet.
Yeah. A maintenance worker went up, investigated the water cisterns on the roof of the hotel, discovered the decomposing body of Elisa Lam. 19 days the body had been in the tank, dead, decomposing. She was also naked inside the tank and her clothes were on the outside. That's what, when the worker got up there, he found her clothes sitting outside the tank. I don't know if they were folded or just thrown there, but nonetheless, her clothes were outside the tank. He climbed up, the tank top was open, and she was in it. And that's how they found her body.
Was the tank top open or closed?
Yes, it was open.
It was open.
It was open.
Okay. Because
Yes.
that seems to lead that she did it to herself. But.
Yes, exactly. The top was open, which is the thing. If you're going to murder somebody and you're going to hide the body in a tank,
You're going to close it.
you're going to close it. Somebody finds this fucking tank. But the tank was still open.
That just kind of scared me of like how little maintenance these tanks seem to get. Like
Well,
19 days, that thing's open to the.
Well, I mean, it's just water. It's a water. I think
Yeah,
we're
but it's
talking about
open to the
water
forces
filter.
of nature. Like
We're talking about
waves
a
are
water-
getting in there.
That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, but she
It
was
shouldn't
just a
have been
little
open.
thing.
Doesn't matter her size. The point is, he got up there and it was open already.
Okay.
If somebody had dumped her in there, you would think they'd close it
Right.
to hide the body. You know, the residents had brushed their teeth, drank, and bathed in the water for 19 days. The guests at the hotel said the water tasted horrible with a very funny, disgusting taste. It's a very strange taste. I can barely describe it. So the mysterious death of Elisa Lam is added to the horrific history of the hotel, which, why I said earlier, it's a little funny that we were discussing that and all we talked about was her. The Cecil Hotel has a storied history. Yes. Suicides and murders and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah.
I wish we'd covered the hotel itself a little bit more, so let's do that a little
Let's
bit.
do it.
The hotel has 600 rooms and it hosts. Now the article I'm reading here says it in a certain way. It says that it has a reputation for hosting transients, $470 a month. Truth is, the state requires them to do it.
Right.
All right. Recently, they tried to renovate and turn it into a more upscale hotel, and the state refused to let them do it. Said, no, you have to keep some of your hotel rooms available to the lesser privileged clientele.
That's a way to put it.
We're talking homeless people, people who are kicked out of their homes, people who, even international travelers like her. She was in one of those rooms. As we said earlier on our way before the podcast, we were talking that it's quite, since she was in one of those rooms, that might also be why there was no other camera. Maybe there's no video camera on the lesser half of the hotel.
Right.
Maybe there's a whole wing of this and they don't upkeep it as much. There's no video camera in those hallways. Usually the lobbies have video camera for security and stuff, but maybe it's just that side of the hotel and they just didn't give a shit. So they have no security camera on that side of the hotel. There was a photo taken showing a mysterious figure hanging out the 4th floor window of the hotel.
That is definitely a mysterious figure.
Yeah.
That's
you
how I
see
would
the
describe
photo
that.
there. Can you see it, Eric?
Yeah.
Some
What is
sort
that?
of, it seems like
It's a mysterious figure.
Yes, it's a mysterious figure.
Obviously, it's a
people feel that
mysterious figure.
they took a photo of the front of the building, and basically they say they see a ghost hanging out of the window.
Well,
The person who suffered from nightmares, the person who took the photo says he suffers from nightmares, I took the picture. When I looked at the window, it just looked kind of creepy to me, and then I showed my friend, and he kind of freaked out, and it still creeps me out. The photograph is the latest in the line of disturbing incidents at the Cecil. Okay, so that's pretty recent. That was in 2014. That's a recent photo. All right.
Oh, so now we need a comparison of her and this mysterious figure.
Hey!
You know what? I mean, I'll be honest with you.
It looks like it has dark hair. The mysterious figure, not the girl. She clearly has dark hair.
Well, and now you have to be aware of. Like, I was looking online and looking for Elisa Lam, and
Doing your research?
doing my research,
Right.
and I caught a video of a couple of guys that were with their video on their dashboard and going and renting a room and everything like that. And Elisa Lam's room is rented out until 2020 by various
Really?
people. Yeah,
Like the ghost hunters.
yeah,
Yes.
the ghost hunters and everything like that. I'm sure that they're going to
They
do a
want to
show
be in the same room as her that she was in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Even though she didn't die in the room, was going to stay in the room.
yeah,
Well, she could have died in the room.
She could have died in the room, and then her body would.
Oh my God.
Inconceivable.
Okay, so these ghost hunters were staying in this room.
I don't know.
Whatever they were.
Whatever they were. But
Paranormal.
That's funny. The room is booked for the next 4 years.
wherever Comic Con is next year, I'm sure that the hotel is booked up.
Yeah.
From But,
Jesus, those fucking geeks.
Yeah,
Those nerds, how dare they?
honestly,
They'll take any room number, though.
they will. Honestly, you have to be aware that there are people that are out there that are going to try and make footage.
Right.
As I raised my hand.
Well,
If I'm in LA and I can stay at the Cecil Hotel, I want to stay in her room.
I don't.
I want to stay in her room. Sorry. I want to
Listen,
stay
the
there.
last girl
Fuck
did
it,
it,
why
but it
not?
didn't work out so well.
I could stay in Richard Ramirez's room. He stayed there too.
Whoa.
you're not taking
now.
pictures. And
I will. I will totally take pictures.
No, I'm going to wind up in a dark wig, taking a picture of me in a mirror, claiming that's what he said.
Oh my God.
Oh, good grief.
Enough for recreational activities.
On that note.
Let's go to Richard Ramirez. I heard you
Yes.
say something about that.
Richard Ramirez stayed in the hotel. He lived on the Cecil's top floor in a $14 a night room while he was killing people.
$14 a night.
Was he staying in the top floor with the water tower?
No, that's the roof.
Okay.
The water tower is in the roof. But yes, while he was on a rampage in L.A.,
Wait, he stayed on the
lived-
14th floor?
There's 14 floors in the hotel, which is basically probably means 13.
Right.
Right. Do you think maybe Richard Ramirez's energy was calling to her?
Well,
Possible.
that's what I'm saying. She hit the 14th
Floor
first.
Was she staying on the 14th floor?
No,
Or
she
is
was
it
staying on the
same
4th.
room? Oh, okay.
What does that mean?
It means he was calling to her, his
That
energy.
means nothing to me.
The bipolar was
The bipolar part of her.
attracted to his rampage energy residue.
Jack Unterweger also stayed there. He's a guy who killed prostitutes in multiple countries.
Wow.
An Austrian man who traveled the world
Killing
killing
prostitutes.
prostitutes.
He also stayed in the hotel.
Was he also on the 14th floor?
That I don't know.
That would be like the 14th floor
That I don't know.
suite of killers.
I never heard about this guy. How many prostitutes did he kill?
He killed. Let's find out. How many did he kill? 10 to 12 with a plus, possibly more, but 10 to 12 is what is.
I'd love to hear more. How do they connect him across like countries? Like we can barely connect people across states.
Yeah, especially when was this?
He was arrested in Miami, Florida on February 1992. While he was a fugitive, he called the Austrian media to try to convince them of his innocence. Back in Austria, he was charged with 11 homicides, one of which had occurred in Prague. The jury found him guilty of 9 murders by a 6-2 majority, which is good enough in Austria. On June 1994, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. That night, he committed suicide by hanging himself with his shoelaces.
Ooh.
I think that's a admission of guilt.
Yeah.
Would you think that?
I would.
shoelaces.
If you were innocent, you would spend 20 years digging a hole through the wall.
Or fighting, you know.
I would dig a hole.
You have no hope in your heart, my friend.
Also used the Cecil as a home base. He was an Austrian visiting Los Angeles under the guise of true crime writer researching prostitute killings in the United States. Unbeknownst to his employers, Johann had already killed 7 prostitutes before coming to America. He used the LAPD as unwitting accomplices as they took him on ride-alongs through LA's red light district. This motherfucker got himself a police escort to find the women he was going to kill.
Wow.
The balls on this guy.
This is amazing.
Later, he would return to those same spots to seek out his victims and then return to his residence at the hotel.
That's a little creepy. What year was this?
1991.
So 84. It's almost like Ramirez was psychic and channeling the future of the actual prostitute killing.
On January 15th, 1947, a nude female body was found in a field on South Norton Avenue between the Coliseum and West 39th Street. The body had been cut in half at the waist and exsanguinated. The corners of her mouth had been slashed all the way to her ears. She also had multiple cuts on her thighs and breasts with no name to put to the body. The press gave her the moniker taken from the popular film noir of the time. She would be known as...
The Black Dahlia. How does she connect?
One rumor surrounding this infamous killing was that the Cecil Hotel was the last place that anyone saw Elizabeth Short alive.
Wow. No, see, now what I'd really like to see, because now this hotel has 2 serial killers.
Yeah.
One mysterious suicide. The Black Dahlia. I think we need to create or somebody, not me, because I'm too fucking lazy, but needs to create a website that scorecards all these creepy freaking hotels. Because I'd love to know, really, that seems like a lot. How many other hotels have that many? Wouldn't you like to know that?
No.
All right.
I really have no...
I think that you could connect Yelp to that. I think that should happen.
I have no interest in
knowing
that where I'm at, people got
I'm all
killed.
over it. Oh, I'm all over it. I love it.
I know you are.
Well, I'm twisted, I guess.
You're a twisted motherfucker. But I am not interested in over there. A hooker got maimed.
Yeah.
I'm really not interested in knowing that.
And I want to take it blacklight to it and find the blood spots.
Do you?
I
do.
don't think that's what you would find.
I would be afraid that if I took a blacklight,
The other shit you would find.
Yeah.
all the other stuff I would
Exactly.
find, and then want to leave.
Yeah. During the 1950s and 60s, the hotel was known as a suicide hotspot. In 1962, Pauline Otten threw herself to her death, if there was any other way to do it, threw herself to her death from the 9th floor window after arguing with her husband. She landed on pedestrian George Giannini on the street below, killing him.
landed on a
She
guy?
landed on someone.
Oh my god.
She's got to get points for accuracy there.
Right.
That's an Olympic gold medal right there. She
I'd give
was
that
one
a
of
10.
numerous guests. An unsolved murder in 1964. Pigeon woman Goldie Osgood, who enjoyed feeding the birds in a nearby square, was found dead in her room. She had been stabbed, strangled, and raped, and then her room ransacked.
Good God.
Seriously. This was just the tour guide, Richard Shave. This guy does a haunted, creepy hotels.
Right.
And this is one of the stops. He says this was just a place where people who were really down on their luck were going. The hotels were filled with people who were at the edge of being integrated into society. And then they get killed. Much like the hotel in New York we discussed that I can't think of the name of right now.
Oh, that creepy one.
Yeah, much like that. It sounds like the Cecil Hotel is a lot like this one, just the left coast version.
Well, every coast should have one.
The Cecil Hotel has closed, ladies and gentlemen. I was unaware of that.
What?
It's closed now. The hotel
So I guess
is
the
closed.
room is no longer booked. Is it
says.
foreclosed on?
Yelpers report the location has closed.
No, well, confirmed. Well, I took a photo in 2014, so
Yeah, but that's still 2 years ago we're talking here.
yeah.
So who knows? It's closed as of right now. Who knows? He might be renovating. It might still be renovating it, and that's why it's closed because they're renovating the fucking thing. I don't know. I don't have that. I don't care that much to look it up right now. If anybody else wants to look it up, please let us know. If one of you two want to search, go ahead. I'm done with that. You guys want to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on.
Moving on.
We're gonna get into what I think is the meat and potatoes of our day.
Serial killers.
More serial killers. Yeah.
More serial killers. You know,
Yes.
when she says that, she has a little smile on her face, which
She's-
the audience can't see.
She's got a thing for
She's got
true
a thing.
crime.
She got
Love
a thing
true
for
crime.
serial killers.
In a previous episode, we discussed underground lairs. And in that conversation, we got to H.H. Holmes's murder house.
Murder house.
Yes, he had a castle built.
Yes, he had renovated and built walls inside the rooms where he could take the people while they slept, and they would go down into torture chambers in the basement, and he was one fucked up dude. And then after he left that, remember there was a whole thing of them
Chasing
chasing him
country.
across the country, and he was killing people all over the place.
Yeah, it was disturbing enough that it was, you know, etched in my brain before the surgery.
So he was pretty fucked up, but there's a whole other level to it that I love right
It's
now.
awesome.
And I think this is going to make a big difference in the way people see H.H. Holmes. Herman Mudgett is his real name.
Mudgett.
Herman Mudgett.
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 His, I believe, great grandson has written a book recently. All right? His name is Jeff Mudgett. I know. See, you're looking in your notes, and it's not in there.
Yeah, no, it's not
No,
in there.
it's not in there.
It's not.
Eric had some notes for himself about H.H. Holmes. I told him we'd be talking about it again, so he got himself some notes about it, and he doesn't realize that what I'm talking about is not in any of his notes.
It's not in
He
my
has-
notes.
He has
It's not
heard
in
nothing about this. He's heard nothing about this, and he's going to be. This is all. Yeah. So the great grandson of H.H. Holmes, Herman Mudgett, his great grandson, Jeff Mudgett. His book, I can't remember the name of his book off the top of my head, but he and his book are about the possible fact that H.H. Holmes, who is technically America's first serial killer, is Jack the Ripper. England's first serial killer, possibly the world's first serial killer.
That, you know, that's, you know,
Something.
Bloodstains. Is the name of the
Bloodstains
book.
is the name of
Yeah,
Jeff
the-
Mudgett's book. Okay,
you know,
Bloodstains.
when it comes to that, you know, it's definitely the first recorded, you know, publicized as far as newspapers,
Mm-hmm.
Jack the Ripper, you know, absolutely.
Yeah,
There could have been serial killers before that,
yeah, but this was the
but
first
no,
time that
it was the first time
recorded.
it was recorded.
Yeah, the term serial killer, I think, was first used to describe Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
So in the 70s, we're talking the 70s was the first time this term was created. But based on the profile that was created to describe Ted Bundy and what he did, H.H. Holmes would be the first one. Now people will argue that Elizabeth Bathory was the first ever, or Vlad the Impaler was also a serial killer. But we're not going to get into the semantics of this because fuck it. What we're going to talk about is, was H.H. Holmes truly Jack the Ripper? Has this case finally been solved? Now, I personally believe that they don't want it to be solved. There is too much money in the tourism industry.
Correct.
There's too much money in the movies. There's too much money in everything.
And now when
in
I
having
went
an
to,
unsolved, in Jack the Ripper being unsolved, there's too much money. There's too much history. There's too much everything put into selling that.
now when I went to London, I actually went on the Jack the Ripper tour.
Yeah.
Did you?
I did, and I loved it. It was amazing. But I think it's true because at the end of the tour, they take you to a pub, and literally people sit there for, hours after the tour, and they just talk about
Yeah,
Jack the Ripper, who it could be, who they think it could be.
Whitechapel makes a lot of money
Yeah.
on Jack the Ripper.
We had a bus and everything.
I was trying to find something that summarized it so we could just kind of get down to the nitty gritty of this, get right into it rather than, discussing for hours and hours on end, because we probably could. And I discovered that, I believe it was last year, Jeff Mudgett did a TED Talk. And
I have to hear this TED Talk.
yeah.
Oh my God.
We're going to summarize that TED Talk here. I have my notes based on his TED Talk and what he discussed.
I'm still going to listen to it.
Yeah, it's fine. Go right ahead. TED has its rules, which is why I like TED Talks, because their rules are, I believe you only get 17 and a half minutes. Everybody gets the same amount of time. So every talker, every speaker has to condense.
Right.
This was a TEDx conference, which is independently sourced. It's not done by TED. They're just using the title. So he actually had 20 minutes. So they don't stick to the rules strictly. But
Right.
TED itself does. But since this was independent, it was a 20-minute talk. But it's very, very, very cool talk. All right. He talks about his book and what it was like growing up and then learning halfway through your life that you are descendant of H.H. Holmes.
That's crazy.
Right? Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
He says literally everything you know.
Yeah. Everything, I mean,
Because that's in you. I mean, that's it was in his great-great-grandfather. Like, oh.
Well, I mean, there's obviously some innocence that's going to be lost when you find out that you're related to a serial killer.
At what point do you tell your child, hey, by the way, did you know that your great-great-great-grandfather slaughtered a bunch of people?
But like, not even like your great-grandfather built a place. Like, he built a fun house to torture people.
He enjoyed it. He had fun doing it.
He
didn't
fun.
just kill people. He made a career out of it. Because then remember, he would sell the bodies.
And he would cash their checks.
He would sell the cadavers.
Mm-hmm. He
Which
took
was
their
big
social
money back in
security
the day.
money. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He would sell the cadavers to the medical schools.
Yep.
And he was running all sorts of scams.
Mm-hmm.
Signs of him at a very young age being intelligent and...
Well, he was a medical assistant.
Yeah.
Right.
H.H. Holmes was a medical assistant, and
so he had the medical training.
He had medical training, and that's how he knew to sell the bodies to the local universities. That's how he got his connections.
Yeah, he probably knew the paperwork to draw up too.
Exactly. He knew the people who worked there. He knew the channels to go through, and that's how he got rid of some of his bodies. He would sell them to the universities as cadavers, and they would, use them. That's how he got rid of a lot of the bodies. Other bodies, we melted them in lye as well. Remember, we talked about that as well. If you know somebody who's buying lye in great quantities, he's probably killing people.
Yeah.
You might want to alert someone to it.
I think.
Out of all the serial killers we discussed on the show,
Everybody
out of the
used
5 of them, I think 3 of them all dispose of their bodies via lye.
Yeah, I know Gacy did.
Yeah, we didn't talk about him, but she knows this shit. So if your wife is buying lye by the pound, get worried.
If she watches true crime shows, don't worry though, because every female seems to.
Yeah, it's a thing. Women love the true crime shows.
Like, I have a friend at work, and like, we were just like, people who work together. Then all of a sudden one day she was like, "Do you listen to podcasts?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Oh my God, there's this one. You totally have to listen to it. And it's all true crime stuff. And it's like all serial." And she like gets giddy about the stuff like I do. And she's like a normal, like she wants to settle down and have babies and stuff.
She's a normal person.
She's a normal person.
I'm just shaking my head just
but she
so
gets
the
all
audience doesn't
excited.
hear,
Like one of my best Christmases ever, he actually got me a poster of Sharon Tate. And it says why.
Yeah, I got her a poster from
And she got me CDs.
From
book.
1969.
Yeah.
A poster that was made in 1969 of Sharon Tate, and it just says "why" on it.
Why? And then when we were in LA, I purchased a piece of the fireplace from the home.
A stone from the fireplace of the Tate house.
Interesting.
So she's into
My
this.
pride and joy.
He had a number of points that he made. I'm going to try to make this as streamlined as possible because my notes are kind of all over the place. First things first that he discussed. There, way back when, there were things called passenger manifests. When people got on a ship,
Like Titanic.
you had to sign a passenger manifest to state that you were on the ship. I didn't write it down, but whatever. There is a signed passenger manifest of a ship going from New York to England that has Herman Mudgett's name on it that he signed. He was on that, so he's definitely in England at the time. Confirmed he's in England at the time.
He's in England.
They know that he was in Chicago in July of 1888, and he was also in Chicago in January of 1889. But there's no evidence to state that he was in Chicago
During those.
from July through January. So he went back again. We'll get back to that in a moment, though. In 1890-ish, around there, that the letter's not exactly dated, but there is a letter that Holmes wrote to his lawyer. His lawyer's in Chicago. Sent a letter back saying how much he enjoying his trip and blah, blah, blah. And how his favorite newspaper is the New York Herald. And how difficult it is to find the New York Herald in England. Did you know that there were 13 eyewitnesses to the Jack the Ripper killings? 13 people who physically saw the killer. Did you know this?
No.
Yes. 13 eyewitnesses to the murders.
Okay.
Based on those eyewitness reports, the newspapers had been printing descriptions, drawn, what do they call those?
Character sketches.
Character sketches, there you go. Based on these, and when you look at them, they look just fucking like him. It is a guy in a hat, a top hat, big mustache, skinny, broken nose.
Yeah.
Herman Mudgett has a broken nose, so he's got that little
Deviated septum
deviated
thing.
bubble, broken bone in the center of his in the center of the bridge of his nose.
Right.
And you look at the other photos of him. I know that photo that you have there.
Yeah.
I see that photo. You look at other photos of him with different lighting and stuff. You can see the broken nose. And his great-great-grandson says he did have a broken nose. And the photos, the drawings
Yes,
that they had at the time.
Same one.
Yeah, same one. But yeah, you can see in those photos, yeah. He had a broken nose. And that same characteristic of a broken nose, that little knuckle, is in all of the Jack the Ripper drawings that are in the newspapers at the time. All right? It's also got the wide ears, the overgrown mustache, the large mustache at the top, you know,
right.
and the eyes. In 2006, Scotland Yard did a computer composite based on the descriptions that the 13 eyewitnesses. Search that. 2006, Scotland Yard, Jack the Ripper. And the sketch that the computer came up with matches the dimensions and fit. Also, broken nose,
Right.
wide ears, the same shape of the eyes. And the cheekbones are the same. The jaw looks different, but all the other features of the face are the same as that photo that you have right there of Herman Mudgett. That's the one. Cover the chin, because the chin is wrong. The chin and jaw is wrong. But to see the broken nose, you see the wide ears,
Yeah.
you see the saddened kind of teardrop eyes.
Yeah.
Same shape. The cheekbones are the same too.
It's a much wider chin, but
Yes, it looks like Freddie Mercury. He's got Freddie Mercury's chin.
yes, he does. He does. Thanks for putting that image in my head.
Eyebrows are all.
Now that's a picture of H.H. Holmes.
Also bears, certain resemblance to Freddie Mercury.
Well, we said it at the time, in the last show too. He must have been. He was a looker.
He was a
money.
looker.
He had money, and he was a looker.
He was a looker. In order for him to seduce that many women, he must have been,
Okay.
that
He had
mustache
to be.
alone.
He was dapper. He was
that
quite dapper.
A
That
dapper
mustache,
gentleman.
Yes.
That mustache
Yeah.
alone was, the bigger the
Panty dropper.
mustache.
That was a panty dropper.
Yeah, it was.
That mustache.
That was.
Okay. At the time of the killings, based on the eyewitness reports, Scotland Yard, their descriptions in the newspaper of Jack the Ripper, approximately 5'7", and this is what one of the most credible eyewitnesses, the one who actually saw him slice a woman's throat, saw her slice this woman's throat. Approximately 5'7", between 140 to 160 pounds, and this is the profile that they were using to find him. Approximately 140 to 160 pounds, between 25 and 35 years old, with a medical history. Okay? H.H. Holmes, 5'7", 150 pounds, 27 years old, and was a medical assistant. Fit the description to a T. The physical description and what Scotland Yard was looking for fit him perfectly.
Wow.
All right? Autopsy. The autopstatician, the mortician himself said, based on these, and we all know this, based on the wounds, this guy knew what he's doing. He wasn't a butcher. He wasn't just some guy.
He was
He
a medical,
knew what he was doing. Yes, these were very specific wounds.
He was in the field of medicine.
Yes.
And to get to the particular organs that he
Yeah,
was.
to get to the organs in as quickly as he did, with as little mess as was left. He knew what he was going for. He knew what he was doing. Now, moving forward, his great-great-great-grandson, Jeff Mudgett, recently took this himself. Took the letter to the lawyer. Took the Jack the Ripper, the Dear Boss letter. Okay?
Yep.
And took the From Hell letter. Took those three. Now, this is where I tripped up a little bit.
I was going to ask, inquire
The From Hell
about
letter.
this.
The From Hell letter and the Dear Boss letter. Now, the Dear Boss letter, people pass off. They say the From Hell is the only one. The Dear Boss letter was it was dated September 25th. Follow these dates. It was dated on September 25th, 1888. Postmarked September 27th, 1888. Received by the police department on September 29th, 1888. Released to the public October 1st. In this letter, he stated the next victim's ear would be removed. September 30th, they found a body with the ear cut off. So this was dated the 25th, mailed on the 27th, received on the 29th, body found the next day. So obviously, whoever wrote this letter killed that woman.
Yeah.
And that woman is one of the Whitechapel Five. All right? Officially, there are only 5 victims officially of Jack the Ripper.
Right.
Because now there were 10 or 12 in total that were attributed to him, but they said it doesn't match the MO.
Right.
All right? Doesn't match what he did. Holmes was in Chicago of July 1888. Came back, killed this woman. Now, 4 women were killed December 20th. In December 20th, there was 1 woman who was killed. 4 women killed in that basic vicinity. Okay, 4 of them. One of them was considered to have been killed. It was a drunken escapade, is what the police said.
Wow.
Yes. July 17th, February 13th, there were bodies found. Now we're going into 1889 now. In Chicago, January 1889, he was there. Okay, seems like as soon as he came back in July, he started killing in August July of 88. As soon as he came back, bodies started piling up. Now, none of these murders were connected. And this is from August until December. He goes to Chicago in January. Next body's found in February. So there's actually a month of no killings in the time where he disappeared. Now, these are not murders. These are not Whitechapel murders. The first murder that was attributed but is still not considered part of it was April 3rd, 1888. He goes to Chicago in July. The first Whitechapel murder, August 7th, 1888. Then the next one, August 31st, September 8th, then September 30th, which is the one with that letter. And the final one was November 9th. December 20th there were 4 more women around that time, all murdered in a nearby town, but not attributed to Jack the Ripper. Okay? The first Whitechapel murder was August 7th. I understand I'm jumping around a lot here. Yeah. First one was August 7th, but before that was July 17th, which is one there. He was in Chicago, July of 1888, and there was 1 woman murdered in July. But they're not attributing it to that. They also don't know exactly when he was in Chicago. All they know is he was in Chicago in July. He could have killed someone, left immediately afterwards, and then come back.
Yeah, well,
this one might not have been it.
Yeah, there was...
Again, though, that July...
There's poor record keeping back at the time.
You can say that, yes. Well, but you can also say July 17th, again, these are murders that are not attributed to him because it doesn't match the MO.
Right.
But anyone who knows H.H. Holmes' history knows he purposely changed his MO as he went from state to state so no one would connect the murders. So he was smart enough to understand that they were going to create a profile of his murders and changed it so they couldn't track his movements. And now we have murders before Jack the Ripper, during Jack the Ripper, and after Jack the Ripper that had different MOs from Jack the Ripper, but the same general vicinity that he was living in at the time. What are the chances that he just changed his MO so you couldn't catch him?
Well, I mean, also, if he's selling cadavers Like, you can't just show up with cadavers matching Jack the Ripper's
There's that too.
MO and just try and
And who
sell
would
'em.
suspect here in America that Jack the Ripper is...
Yeah, is here. You wouldn't know. There also was, now this wasn't in part of his TED Talk, but Herman Mudgett, when he was living there, was making money selling cadavers to a local university. He was there for quite some time, so he was making money there. He was working there selling cadavers
London.
in London.
was traveling there, doing his thing.
Sounds like pretty regularly, yeah.
Yeah, pretty regularly. Coming back here, making sure his house was built a certain way. Because, again, if
He
you're
couldn't
having...
stay there while
you
he
couldn't
was...
stay here and stay with
So-
the same people working on your house.
Uh-huh.
Because he was having all of these catacombs built.
Well, when were the murders discovered? What year was that?
His home was opened up in 1893.
Wow. After Jack the Ripper. So he was having it built while he was staying in England then.
Yeah, he was going
So
back
it sounds
and
like he
forth,
was going back and forth.
checking up on the house, and
He was
Probably
selling,
then firing one of the contractors, hiring a new one, and then headed back out.
maybe firing,
moving around.
killing
People,
the
yeah.
contractors.
Yeah.
But he did do that. He did cycle through them pretty regularly,
Yep.
so that only he knew the house.
What was being built. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only he knew that certain rooms had these things done, and yeah. So so the 5 or 6 years while he was built, while this thing was being renovated and all those rooms were being made, he was in England as Jack the Ripper. He was in England killing people and eventually became known as Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, because if you're a serial killer who needs a house to kill in,
yeah,
and you're building a killing house,
you're going to perfect your
you got to
craft.
perfect your craft. Where else to do it except
An entirely different country.
entirely different country at the turn of the century?
Especially because he was close to
1889.
caught a couple times with the Jack the Ripper murders. 13 eyewitnesses. He needed a
Yep.
place that he wasn't going to get caught like that.
Yeah, 1889, 1890 or so, he came back, opened up his thing, his murder castle 3 years later, possibly was traveling back and forth the whole time. Quite possibly was there back and forth the whole time. So technically, England's first serial killer is actually America's
American.
first serial killer. And what did you say earlier? America's greatest export. Serial killers.
Serial killers.
Yeah.
There's
then he
more serial
imported
killers
himself
in
back.
America than anywhere else.
This country literally makes us want to essentially kill the same victim again and again in the same manner.
So what do you think?
It's completely believable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's completely believable because as he was perfecting his craft, so to speak,
Oh, I didn't get to that yet either. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. But what I was
I'm
getting
going to.
I don't want to cut you off, but I'm gonna. What I was getting to was I had to backtrack a little bit to tell this story. He took the Dear Boss letter with the ear cut
right?
off,
Right.
the From Hell letter,
Right.
and the letter to his lawyer. Now, in court of law, a handwriting expert is not admissible in court.
Right. It's because it's interpretive.
Exactly. The Department of Justice has developed a computer algorithm that will match,
Right.
and they use that.
Which didn't exist back then.
No, of course. Now I'm saying.
Yeah.
Jeff Mudgett has taken those 3 letters, the one that we know is his, and the 2 Jack the Ripper letters, and he submitted it to the Department of Justice. I think it's in Texas that they have this thing, and they do it. 96.75% chance it is written by the same person.
Wow.
That percentage is so high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's,
Well, anything above 90%
Yeah.
is
yes.
pretty amazing.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I would go as far as to say that this is it.
I'm convinced.
Well,
I think I'm convinced.
I mean, I'd like to see a bit of a more concise and clear
but
timeline.
well, you got to read the book. Well, of course, read the
I
book.
obviously have to
He's
read
got
the
it in the
book.
book.
So I'm
yeah.
going to do that. I'm going to read this book.
Yes.
And I'm going to have to come back and we're going to have to
Yeah,
follow up
we're
then.
gonna we could have a whole show about
We have
this,
to.
but
Yeah.
Holmes has a background in medicine
Uh-huh.
and dissecting things his entire life.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. it was in the end. He was in medicine. He got a job working in a pharmacy right away.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
He's in the field.
he's in the field.
Yeah.
Jack the Ripper.
And pharmacies were not like they are today. They are just not like little pill.
No, it's not
places.
like CVS.
No, it's not like CVS.
All right. Back then, it was
A bit more medical.
a bit more, and it was well-respected profession.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was also well open to quackery too.
Yeah, like bloodlettings, and I'm sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of really terrible practices.
There were procedures
as well.
done in pharmacies, I believe.
I don't know. I'm not going to argue that. I don't know.
I don't know. I believe.
I don't know. But realize they also believed that putting leeches would remove
Yeah.
cancer or something.
Yes.
I mean, people
know,
were taking
but,
arsenic back in the beginning
Yeah,
of
they
the
were.
century.
They were drinking laudanum for headaches.
But
Yeah.
again, because it was coming from a medical profession,
Yeah.
people respect
people respected it.
Yeah.
Putting leeches on,
Yeah. Yeah. It was few and far between. Somebody who was trained
Yeah.
in this. Here you throw a fucking rock, I'll hit a doctor. At
Yeah.
this point, there's so many goddamn. You throw a rock, you're gonna hit a
Oh,
doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah, no, but in a doctor, you're going to see 12 different kinds of freaking doctors.
Yes, and every doctor is going to
specialists,
have a
and-
different opinion on everything. Back then, everybody kind of believed the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
It
there's...
doesn't matter though. The fact is, very few people were trained to do what Jack the Ripper did.
Correct. And
You know?
at a very young age, Holmes had a taste for it,
For medical,
For medical, it
Quackery.
could be seen.
you could
right.
see that he was going to move into the field of medicine from a young age.
Right. And he had acquired quite a taste for it. Mm-hmm. And it couldn't be seen that he was going to be, a killer.
Obvious. Well, yeah.
But
If you could see that, Tom Cruise would make a movie about
he
it.
did dissect animals, but this was before we understood that,
To be a sign,
a sign
a
of,
symptom.
let's put this kid on some meds.
Yeah, let's get this kid some help.
All right.
Now, see, the only disappointing thing for me is this giant conspiracy that they've built up around Jack the Ripper.
And that's where we started.
Yeah.
How far do you think his son's investigation is actually going to get? With all of this evidence that we're just sitting, I'm just listening to this. I mean, I saw like a whole documentary on it and everything. I'm surmising from his TED Talk.
Right.
And I'm still saying they're never going to allow this to come to a conclusion.
No, I mean, because at one point they've had conspiracy theories that go all the way up into the
king.
palace, the king.
Yeah, that the
the
king
royal
did it.
family, and the royal family's
Yeah.
physician has long time been a lead suspect in this.
And people have
It's
written
an industry built
works of fiction and fact.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they've made
And
this story
comics.
so
I mean,
big.
Alan Moore wrote From Hell.
Right.
Well, they say there's more books written on Jack the Ripper than there was George Washington or something like that. Like that's
And
the
it's-
statistic.
It kind
or
of feels like
something.
a little bit of a letdown where it's just like, no, it's just this dude. He just killed people, and that's just what he did. And he just happened to pick these 5 women because they were prostitutes and they were easy to kill. And it's kind of like a letdown
Well,
a little bit.
it's-
I don't think it is because if it is Holmes, look at
it's
what he turned into.
That's the crazy
That's
part.
what's
Like,
in- that's
this
why it's
sick
like this-
son of a bitch is like the sickest son of
Yes,
a bitch in
yeah,
history.
This is it.
that like went so
that
far on
Jack-
his own.
Yeah,
Yes.
that Jack the Ripper bit was practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the dress rehearsal
All
for
right.
what he became.
But like it was like
I mean,
it's like
wrap your head around that one.
like serial killers. They're known to
Realize
sort of go on a bloodlust.
He's killing people in England while he knows someone is building a torture chamber for him in Chicago.
Right, which is what I was just gonna say. Like serial killers are known to go into these like bloodlust filled like rampages, and that's usually where they get caught.
this motherfucker,
Like
though.
this motherfucker was like
balls.
he went on a rampage in England while his house where he's going to literally like
Well, that's just it. He didn't go on a rampage in England. He kept his cool and was rehearsing.
I'd still call it rampage. I
He
mean,
would get
5
up and
people
leave
in-
the country like, you know what?
You know what?
They're getting close.
I
I'm
slit
going to
her
go
throats.
home.
I slit her throat.
This woman, this bitch over here saw me. I'm going to go home for a few weeks, let shit cool down. I'm going to lay low, and then I'm going to come back and do it
I
again.
don't know. I feel like 5 people in
Got
the
out
span
somebody's
of like
hearts.
5 months is a fair amount. Like, and I mean, he was consistently killing, and if the dates are right that you gave us, then
these are the ones. Yeah, I looked up the dates of the murders. Yes,
September, October, and then November.
Yeah,
is what I wrote down. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's a fair. That's sort of a rampage. That's like almost 2 weeks. You're finding somebody.
August.
Else, you're tracking.
Remember,
them.
you got August,
and we have a potential August. I mean, he could have been in the next town over.
No. August was
to sell his cadavers.
No. April and July were murders. Then he left for Chicago, came back, started back up again in August. See, now the only thing is the July 17th is the one that really throws a wrench into that because could he get from England to Chicago and back by August 5th to do the first official Jack the Ripper killing?
Right.
Or, you know what I'm saying? August 5th or so, or the 6th. Or they found the body on August 7th.
I mean, what kind of struck me is when you were giving us the dates. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm like, right now, I don't have the dates in my head, but like the dates that you gave us were almost 2 weeks apart.
Yeah, it was August 7th, August 31st, September 8th, September 30th.
Like a week on the sea to get between the two. I mean, maybe he was just...
But then he had to get from New York to Chicago.
Yeah, that's true.
Then there's that travel time.
There's that travel time.
You know? At best case scenario, he found a train going from New York to Chicago.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, and it'd take him maybe 3 days. 3-4 days. That could be a couple days of travel. Yeah. Best case scenario, if he finds one train going from New York to Chicago. Which, in his case, if he did, it'd probably be the same fucking train he's taking all the time, and he's probably even coordinating it to that train schedule.
Correct.
This one is going to land. So, all right, let me find the ship. And all right, let me kill this woman now. I can hop on this, be gone, come back. As soon as I come back, get another one right then and there.
Well, that's just it.
But that's that's only if the July 17th was his. It's not attributed to him. That could totally have just been one random off killing. Of the 10 or 11 or 12 that are possibly him, this one might not actually have been him.
Right.
Like if it could have been there July 1st, and then
could have been
he would
July
have
1st,
had time to make it
in
by
which case,
by the 17th.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been back there by the 17th. Or he could have been, all they know is he was in Chicago in July. That's all they know. He could have killed someone on the 15th, hopped on the fucking ship, been back by the time they found the body. He was already on the ship on the way back. That's totally possible too.
Yeah.
But then the first official Jack the Ripper body was found August 7th. That's what I'm trying to say. Could he get from England in July 17th to Chicago and back by August 7th? Giving him 3 weeks. Could he travel 3 weeks, that distance in 1888? Would that have been
without a problem?
I think so.
How long would the ship travel? How long would the ship be from England to New York in 1888?
I don't know how to look for that, but
I don't know how to look.
I'm looking at the Titanic, which was 1912. Looks like everything was ready, and the ship set sail on April 10th. Mm-hmm. They were scheduled for 10 days, according to the captain's schedule.
Now, this was a cruise ship.
7 days.
And this was also a cruise ship.
On average, the Titanic's sister ships were 5 to 7 days average.
From England to New York. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say it took about a week.
So let's say he killed someone. Let's say he killed someone July 17th. Say he killed him on the 16th. They found the body on the 17th. Say he killed him on the 16th. 7 days to get to New York. He hops on the train. He hops on the bus the next day. Or the boat the next day. Gets on the boat the next day on the 17th. Takes him 7 days to get to New York. We're looking at the 23rd? 24th. We're looking at the 24th then. He arrives in New York. From the 24th in New York, he gets on a train, goes to Chicago.
3 days?
2 or 3 days, yeah. Let's say 3 days. Again, that could be generous. That could be short, for all I know. So let's say the trip itself from England to Chicago is 10 days. So that would be if he showed up, said hello, and went back.
Made sure everything was okay.
You walked in, hey, you still building? Good, I got a train to catch. And caught the train on the way back. Best case scenario, we're going to say 20 days it takes for him to get from England to Chicago and back, round trip. 20 days.
It would
like
be
he literally
20 days.
Would have to kill someone, leave, come back and kill someone
everything
that
would
day.
have to go perfectly
Yeah.
and according to plan.
Yeah, and this is speculation. This is just
Yeah.
us sitting here rambling about based on the. There could be more. To
Yeah.
There were trains that ran from New York to Chicago pretty regularly.
Uh-huh.
The link was forged in 1858.
All right. So that's been 30 years, 30 years or so that it's been in operation at that point, and it took how long? We say 3 days. I think 3 days sounds about right.
And they were,
They were on rails. They weren't just
they were on rails, and they were powered by
coal.
coal.
Yeah. Steam power, coal power. It was totally different type of engine. It didn't get up
Even
to
the boats were coal and
steam.
steam.
Yeah.
If he had the ticket in his hand for the train.
Which, considering his precision and everything else he fucking does, would that surprise you to know, hey,
No.
I'm going to kill somebody.
No.
I'm planning on killing some woman next week. So let me buy my ticket.
Add in a couple of hours to kill the contractor and hire in the new one.
Hire in the new one.
All right.
A day or so for
Which
that.
you can do.
You can.
It's not online. It's through
No,
paperwork.
but you can do it by the mail. He could have mailed and found. He would have known all the contractors of the area, knew when he was gonna. I mean, who hasn't seen Gone Girl?
Okay, I found it.
Who
but-
hasn't seen Gone Girl? She had a calendar of when she had to do everything on that.
Exactly.
Is it really so hard to believe that he had a little book with a calendar? He knew the dates that he had to do this. This had to be done. This had to be done because this, and that is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to take the mail X amount of days to get from here to there. Let me hire a contractor on the 10th. They get the letter by the 14th.
Serial
I'll be
killer,
there
yeah.
on the 16th.
Serial killers are known for,
The precision.
and accuracy. They have to be. Otherwise, they'll be caught and they're just a killer.
That's not true, actually. That is the misconception of serial killers. Very few serial killers have that precision. Most of them, like she said earlier, are just on rampage killings. And that's why they get caught. Very, very few do not get caught. And the ones who do generally screwed up real bad or gave themselves up. Ted Bundy picked the wrong victim, right?
Oh, the girls in Florida.
The one who got away.
Yeah, there was a survivor.
Yeah, one of the victims got away and identified him.
Oh, no, he went to a sorority house and he thought he got them all. I'm assuming he didn't.
Yeah, that's right. He went in the sorority house and went room to room, killing them all.
Oh, yeah,
And one of them survived
Yeah.
and
Because
ID'd him.
they screamed loud enough
Yeah.
and people were alerted and the
he just
the
fucked up.
response
He
was
got
spontaneous.
He got full of
Yeah.
himself. But I think he was
Which,
convicted for how many killings? Like 10 or so. And he claimed well over 100. Because he just killed.
He was a hitchhiking guy, though.
Yeah.
He hitchhiked all over
He
the
killed
place.
people and dumped their bodies anywhere. He picked up hitchhikers, killed them. He had a fucking wife in one city and a wife in another one. He was running for mayor over there while he was a student in another fucking state. This Ted Bundy was just like H.H. Holmes. He had all these alternate identities. You never knew what he was doing, where he was going, in all these different ways. He was the exception. H.H. Holmes is the exception.
Right.
That's what we're trying to get to. That while they...
But there's also, so many more
Yes.
out there
That haven't been caught.
we don't know.
Which, speaking of,
Okay.
it sounds like I have an answer. I mean, it's not...
The Neanderthal man.
When he got on a train leaving Chicago at 300 miles an hour.
But it wasn't the caveman.
No, just a Neanderthal.
It kind of sounds like before 1850, 1857 was the defining
Okay,
period when it came
that's
to
fine.
railroad. In the 1850s, it would take approximately a week.
Wow. To get from New York to Chicago?
Yeah. Then they created a rail system.
Where's Sheldon Cooper when you
Kind
need
of,
him?
right? An improved rail system that shaved off amount of time. The articles that I've read said it could take 2 days.
Okay, tops.
Around 2
The
days.
fastest would be 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm asking like 1890s.
Of course,
and they're
yeah. But,
well,
okay.
between this time and this time, there's no like record that they've found that clearly.
On
that I could
average,
find.
then, the fastest
Yeah.
it could have taken at the time was 2 days. So 3 days was a good guess. It was a guess. It was a decent guesstimation. 3 days. So we're gonna say it took 20 days to get from England to Chicago and back, and there's 20 days in between the July 17th murder, which was possibly Jack the Ripper, and the official first Whitechapel murder, which is definitely Jack the Ripper. 20 days. So he totally could have done that.
Definitely possible.
And that is probably why they never connected him to it. I don't even know if he was ever even a suspect.
No, I've never heard this theory.
I mean, that would take somebody in London literally following the news in America.
No, because the murders in America and the murders in England happened at two totally separate times.
I'm saying
the fact
in
that
England.
he was in England, was he even a suspect? Was he ever even questioned? Being a local somebody who worked with the university selling cadavers, this is another person in the area, an American in the area. Right. I mean, come on, an American in England at the time. He's going to stand out. Everybody probably knew, there's an American doctor over there.
Unless he was using a fake accent, which he could have.
Which, again, dapper gentleman, he might have.
Fake name.
A fake, well, even if it was a fake name.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing. He was getting letters from his lawyer, so you knew he was using his name.
Okay.
That's how we know he was there. He was using the name of Herman Mudgett at the time.
Yeah, but
I love this.
People on the street didn't know he was Herman Mudgett.
How do you know that?
Well, because he wasn't wearing a name tag that said Herman Mudgett.
Yeah, but the postmaster knew he was there.
If you're selling cadavers, I don't know if you're going to use your real name. I don't.
That's his business.
I guess if they're writing him money orders.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. These people are paying him.
It doesn't matter.
He has a residence. He has somewhere to live there because he's been there long enough. He's got somewhere he's staying. He's making money there. He's working there.
And he was making money hand over fist all over the world.
Yes.
Doing all sorts of things. So I'm sure, he was a smart guy, and I'm sure it was much like Ted Bundy when he got caught. He got cocky.
Well, he got caught
after the house was built.
You know what? I don't want to get into this too. We covered this.
Yeah, we did. You know what it comes down to? He got cocky.
Yeah. He did.
He got cocky.
They all did. They get cocky. They think that they're on top of the world.
They're untouchable, and they think that they're godlike.
Yeah.
And it's not even specified because they asked him, and while he was in jail, how many people did you kill? He said 27, 20, 100.
Yeah.
200.
Kept changing the number. He didn't even know anymore. Couldn't even keep track.
Okay. There's a big difference between 20 and 200.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got him on the insurance fraud first.
That's where they got him. They got him on the fraud.
Then they got him on the murder. Then he confessed.
Okay.
Well, he confessed because what am I going to do?
Fuck it, I'm here. You caught me.
Yeah, first he was charged with the insurance fraud first. So what they wanted him for was for the insurance fraud.
Yes.
He later then stood trial for the murder of his partner.
Uh-huh.
During his time in custody, he gave numerous stories admitting of killing 27 people.
If you want,
I don't know.
If people want a comprehensive background of H.H. Holmes, we went down the timeline pretty extensively. You listen to our episode of the most disturbing underground bunkers found.
There's also
because we could sit here forever on this.
Yeah, there's also a pretty good documentary online about
H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer.
It's really boring, but it's really good.
Yeah.
It's slow.
It's slow moving, but yeah.
So what's going to happen is we're going to get this blood-stained book. She's going to read it. I'm not, because I don't read. I don't read shit. She's going to give me the cliff notes. She's going to be the Lynn's notes.
I'm going to take really good notes.
Yeah, she's going to be the Lynn's notes version. She'll leave some sticky notes on it, and I'll just flip through those things, and then we'll come back and maybe we'll do another quick update of it.
Yeah.
And talk about those. But unless there's anything else we want to cover, because I think we're good. Erik is alive.
I am.
Elisa Lam is not.
She is not.
A whole bunch of people are not.
There's a lot.
From H.H. Holmes.
Anywhere from 20 to 200 people are not alive because of it.
Yep.
There's possibly a tyrant that was killed to make way for Hitler.
Yeah.
And
if you believe in that,
that's our reality, and you can't argue with that.
And it's totally possible, and I'm sold. I'm sold. Holmes is Jack the Ripper. Was
that
Jack the
is
Ripper.
your reality.
I'm sold.
That is your
sorry.
reality, and if you believe that,
It's his great-great-great-grandson's reality, too. I'm sold on that. What do you think? Final thought. What do you think?
You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that the date's kind of
If you
like...
were on a jury right now and this is what was presented to you, would you say guilty?
That's a lot
Well,
of
I'd like
pressure.
some DNA first.
Yeah.
We're not. It's 100 years ago, and it's 120 years
Well,
ago.
this is like a jury. Like this is like.
But
like,
there's no
this is
DNA
real
evidence.
now.
We
This
have-
is real now.
It's not fucking real. We're sitting in an air-conditioned room in an apartment in
Okay,
Queens.
but you used to pretend you were on a jury. If I'm on a jury, like there's consequences that come from this decision.
For God's sake, Jesus.
I agree
Jumping
with
bald
Lynn on
Jesus
this one.
and Palomina. To quote Gary Busey,
You're going to quote Gary Busey?
I
He
just did.
Oh, my God.
I think that's going to do it for us this week here on Channel X. I'm happy to be back.
So am I.
I hope everybody else is happy to hear us again.
I'm happy to talk to everybody.
I hope I didn't fuck up your flow too bad.
Nah. As usual, we're going to lead you out with music from Without You, I'm Hunting Them. David Catalano is still going strong writing his music.
I love that song.
It's fucking great, isn't it?
I love that
Music's
name.
better. You got to hear. He's got a new album coming out. A new one coming out at the end of this year.
Does he?
He's also done a good portion of the music on our new movie, Theta States.
Ooh, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing that, but
Yeah.
you know what?
He's
I'm
also done
looking
a good
forward to
job on
hearing
some of
that album.
Music. Yeah.
Yeah.
He got a new album coming out another month or so, I believe. I know he's mixing it.
Okay.
So you can get
Mixin'.
you can get all
Everybody's
his music
mixin'.
on at Bandcamp. You can get all his music on there. Find him on Facebook. Find us on Facebook. As of this recording, it's not up there yet, but when it is out, as you're listening to this, you can now get our podcasts directly at massgravepictures.com. You can still subscribe on iTunes
yeah.
and Stitcher and all those other places. We are switching the feed directly over to massgravepictures.com, so we will officially have this on the website on our new redesign, massgravepictures.com. Ooh. Yes. Get us on Facebook. Find us all on Twitter and Instagram and all the wonderful little social media places that you frequent. Pick your poison.
My poison?
Yes. Or Without You, I'm Hunting Them. And what lurks on Channel X? That's us signing off. Anybody?
Good evening.
That's my reality.
And I'm sticking to it. Good night, everybody.